All right, we are going live in 3, 2, 1. Oh wait, we're already really live. Fuck. Penis.
Oh, they took my.
Happy birthday
To Greg.
Greg.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday,
Greg.
dear Greg. Happy birthday.
Oh, I should have got my guitar
you
out.
piece of shit.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Gregorius
birthday
Velasquez.
to you.
This was the
It'll
most
keep your
wonderful
pants
tribute
on.
ever.
Hey, on this day, 200 years before Christ, Gregorius Velasquez was born. He is the man who created the Roman Empire and created orgies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Beer Analysis 101 with our special BA101 BYOB edition, Bring Your Own Beer edition this week. And we decided to pick the theme because A, we needed subjects to talk about, and B, the guy that's on here the most of anybody other than me, because I've been running. Of course, I'm here every week. He's never missed an episode. Greg. So
Yes.
Happy birthday, Greg. His birthday is tomorrow. I don't know how old he is.
About 20.
He's always
about
immature.
20. Well, in the Beer Nomicron, he's about 2,400 years old.
Well, that's about right.
Right.
That's how I feel sometimes.
Which is really young. Which is really young compared to the rest of us.
Okay, let me finish this thing. Anyway, so introducing the whole panel here. We'll get that in a second. But the theme of tonight is Greg beers. Any beer that reminds you of Greg, specifically of Greg. So it could either be a shitty Polish lager.
Yeah.
Something from GLB or Cool Beer or something.
Yeah.
A huge ass barrel aged imperial stout.
All right.
Or whatever, just as long as it's beer that really reminds you of Greg. There's definitely been more than a few over the years. So that's the challenge for tonight. Drink something that reminds you of Greg. And I just want to point out that Rating on Your Parade's in the chat, and he's saying you got the perfect beer. Founders, Old Dirty Bastard.
Yep.
That's very fitting. Anyway.
Why the fuck was the Twin Towers on there? What the hell?
What the hell? All right, so getting down to the chat, let's introduce the guy who won't shut up. What beer did you bring, Radar?
Hello, I am Radar from the channel Beer Nomicron. I don't have a channel yet, but I will soon. Anyways, when I think of Greg, I think of more strong alcohol, and he's like usually the first one to be drunk. So, I have the Brother Dan's or Hans. I can't understand the writing on that thing. Brother Hans Christmas Cheer from Five Paddles Brewing Company. It is 9% alcohol. Strong beer.
Classy.
Enjoy cold or hot, to serve hot, empty, on earth, blah, 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 blah. What the hell? Anyways, it's brewed by Five Paddles Brewing Company, Inc. In Whitby, Ontario. And I haven't tested it yet. I will tell you very soon. And yes, happy birthday, Gregorius Velasquez. Approximately 2,400 years old. We, of course, in the Beer Nomicron, he's the one that created the Roman orgies. And yes.
All right.
I mean, it's all accurate.
All right, let's go over to Mr. Ashley Sexton, who needs to follow that up.
How do I follow that one up?
Yeah. All right. First of all, how are you doing tonight? And what did you bring that reminds you of Greg?
I'm doing great, thank you. And actually, this beer sort of hits on a few Greg notes. This one is made by GLB, and it is a big old boozy beer, which is pretty much all he drinks. And tonight I have beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Beard of red.
So yeah, it's amazing.
I was gonna drink mine. I was gonna drink mine, but I thought someone else was gonna drink it. But good, thank you.
And you guessed right. So yeah, this is 11.8% barrel aged barley wine. Cheers.
All right.
Alrighty, so we got somebody special in the chat here tonight. He's always special. Everybody's special here. So Craig of Kent Beer Reviews. Craig, how are you doing tonight? And what did you bring that reminds you of Greg?
Doing all right. I've got a special beer. I've had it since last March. I've actually got 2 bottles, but I've not had this batch before. And it's the final batch from Buxton and Apollo collaboration. It's a Yellow Belly Ceased and Desist.
What the fuck? Is that a KKK suit around a... What?
Okay.
That's what it looks like.
There is a story behind it.
There is a story behind that. You can tell.
We will get to that. You know, when
we'll talk about the history. But yeah. All right. Let's go over to Chris. How you doing tonight, buddy? And what did you bring that reminds you of Greg?
Okay, I brought 2 things. today. First of all, we're gonna do from GLB as well. We're gonna do Octopussy Wants to Fight.
Yeah.
All right, and this one is obviously an IPA that's coming in at 6.2% alcohol by volume, and it's supposed to be really good. And spoiler alert, I just had one and it's delicious, but I'm gonna have another one just because Greg wants me to. And the other thing I brought to drink was Sex Club water.
Not heavy.
This is disgusting because it's got Greg's sweat all over it.
That's right.
Speaking of Greg, let's go over to Greg. How you doing tonight, birthday boy? What did you bring for yourself?
I'm doing wonderful, other than Arnold's trying to bite me, but he's always an asshole.
I'm sure it's biting.
And of course, tonight I'm taking it easy and having a Perrier, but you guys enjoy.
That's a Ewart beverage.
A pariah? What?
No, actually, I'm going to have something that both represents my birthday and this current situation the world is in. Is I'll Bring Out Your Dead,
Bring Out Your
2017.
I'm so jealous.
Oh my god! And isn't that the same batch that went stinky or like the sex?
No, that was 2018. 2017 is holding up well.
It's a good year. Hey, Arnold. Arnold, what did you bring tonight?
Arnold.
Oh,
Arnold.
Gonna hump Greg's arm during this thing?
Arnold brought his penis, and he's gonna pull it out in a second.
Oh, Red Rocket.
There you
All
go.
right. All right. Speaking of Red Rockets, what did I bring that reminds me of Greg? Well, I've been holding on to this one for years. I think I've had this since even before I knew who Greg was. And Greg can only imagine what this is. And personally, I hope the fuck that this thing doesn't blow up on me when I take the wax cap off. This is a 2013 bottle of Amsterdam Tempest.
Yeah.
Greg is happy I'm finally opening this bastard.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I won't explode on you though. It's not it's not barely.
Yeah.
It's not gonna.
I can only imagine how good it is right now. It's like 7 years old.
I had my last 2013 about 2 years ago, and it was still delicious. So I don't imagine it's getting much worse.
Question before we continue. The date that's at the bottom of this can, is it date of manufacture or date of expiry?
Date of canning.
Okay.
Usually the canning date.
Because I just did a taste of it and it tastes awful.
Good God. All right.
Tastes
Well,
awful?
we might as well. Okay, so Radar.
Yeah.
Since you're already on screen, we're going to the round. Well, I better talk about. There's only a couple of comments there. We already introduced Raining on Your Parade in the chat. Sexton says, cheers, Raining on Your Parade. Yo. And, of course, Redbeard's in the chat saying, holy punctuality, Batman. At least he showed up. All right, so let's go back over to Radar here and talk to him saying, the beer that you brought, what's your history with it? Why'd you bring it?
Well,
you must have had this in the fridge for a while if it tastes that terrible.
no, my sister gave it to me yesterday.
Oh.
She's had it for a while apparently, and
Well, I mean, I might have guessed that.
it kind of tastes stale, but I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be like. Five Petals Brewery, what's that?
Might just be the style.
It's a spiced Belgian strong ale.
Yeah, that
But
could
yeah,
be
it couldn't be or could.
No, it could be depending on how much you like Belgian beers, because big, strong Belgian beers can have an off-putting taste if you don't.
Okay, that's probably it then. It's not my style of beer. I've never heard of Five Petals Brewing before. Maybe you guys have, which is why I would like to ask you about that afterwards after I'm done here. I taste more horrible beer, but it kind of feels stale. So I'm not going to give a number on it because I don't know. I'll have to taste a newer one just to make sure. And so, yeah, no numbers on this. Other than that, it is spicy. That's for sure. And it does taste like a 9% alcohol. It's not like some of those APAs or IPAs where it's like the same percentile, but you don't taste it. This one you taste it for sure. But I'd have to taste like a newer batch to see if it tastes any better. In that case, right now, I'm not going to give a score off of that. And so yeah, again, happy birthday, Gregorus Bilaskushus. And I think Nick, you said that you had your beer before you met Greg, so that would have been approximately.
Oh, yeah,
20%.
Radar, we're going to go talk about everybody's histories here in a second here. We usually go by one
I'll
by
leave
one.
it- I'll leave it- I'll leave the next one.
Talking.
I'll
Just
leave it.
because I'm going to let this be a shit show tonight because it's Greg's birthday. But
All right, well, off to the next one.
all right, cool.
All right, behave yourselves.
All right, Ashley, try following that up. And what's your history with the beer you brought, and why'd you bring it from? Why does it remind you of Greg?
Okay, yeah, so Bearded Zeus. I bought this one. I can't even remember when it was released. It's been a few months now. And I wasn't too sure if I was going to be able to get it at my LCBO, so I just did a special order through the LCBO and brought in 8 bottles of it. So was it 8 or 6? Doesn't really matter. So I've been I've had I think two or three. I think this is my third. I still have a few bottles I'm sitting on, and yeah, it's why it reminds me of Greg. I think I sort of covered that earlier. It's a big, loud, boozy beer, which is exactly what Greg is. It's just loud, loud and boozy.
Big, loud and boozy all the time.
So it's like it just seemed like the perfect fit. But no, I just I haven't had a really big beer like this probably in, I don't know, probably a few weeks. So just felt it'd be a good time to crack one open. So I mean, I have some like shitty lagers that also remind me of Greg because he's just like, and that's my kid in the back. And
Oh, I thought it was
Why's your kid in the basement?
well
Tying him
now,
up?
yeah, pretty much. Well, we only have so many computers, but they're all spread out amongst the house, and the basement's where there's a few. Anyways,
Yeah.
so
Daddy
anyway,
the kids tonight.
yeah. So I mean, as annoying as Greg is, like a shitty lager, I decided to bring something good because there may be one redeeming quality in Greg. I just don't know what it is yet. So
He's got one redeeming quality. They might as well indulge on that. It's like he gets loud and obnoxious, and then he passes out. That's Greg's quality right there.
Yep.
that's the redeeming quality. He doesn't have like lasting power or anything like that.
He's got a lot of energy, but he's overquick.
Let me tell you, I'm going to talk over everybody with my eyes closed.
Oh God! All right, so let's move over to Craig. Craig, why is this beer? What's your history with this beer, first of all? And this is the point where you explain that story. And why do you remember? Does it remind you of Greg? It's probably going to be pretty obvious.
Well, I've had a couple of other editions of this beer, 2017, 2018, and this was their final batch last year, Yellow Belly, which is, as I say, a collab with Buxton in the UK and On With Polo in Sweden. What does it remind me of, Greg? It's one. I mean, it's got there is. It's probably better if I read the commercial description. So it's kind of goes into like the lines of person who's without courage, fortitude, or nerve, a coward. He's not anyway. So there's one difference. To us, let me get this here. I'll read it from here. To us, one of the most cowardly deeds is to act anonymously, hide behind a group, a satisfying trait of institutionalized racism. This beer is brewed to celebrate things new, open-minded, and progressive. A peanut butter biscuit stout with no biscuits or peanut butter or nuts. Taste and enjoy, and don't be prejudiced. So that's pretty much the getting to the crux of it. But yeah, so yeah, that's not always how they seem sometimes. So that's it. I thought it was a nice kind of.
So basically, you're saying Greg likes to wear ghost costumes.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
All right. Chris, you ready?
Yeah,
all right.
I'm ready. Hi.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
This is Lisa. This is Lisa.
Hi.
Lisa's here. She came over to visit PJ. PJ's back there.
Ah, Chris is gonna have an orgy.
Who's
That's why he's going off really here.
Is that your girlfriend?
Are we having an orgy? No. Okay. Anyway,
so this beer, why does it remind you of Greg?
This beer that I'm drinking, this is the third can I've ever had of it. First time I had this, It was crappy. I had a baby palate back then, so it was crappy. The second one I had was have a sip. The second one I had earlier today, and it was delicious. And now I'm drinking it again, and it reminds me of Greg because it's GLB.
Tastes like grapefruit.
There you go.
Right.
She likes it. Says it tastes like grapefruit.
You tried it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're done. Okay, go on to the next person.
All right, Greg, why is this beer that you brought remind you of you?
Because it's rare and you can't get it, so fuck you all.
Because it's aged just like how you like it, 3 years
No,
old.
you know, it's one of my favorite beers. It's Bring Out Your Dead or Double Tempest. It was going to be one of the two, so I picked this one mainly because it's my second last bottle in existence, so I do have quite a few more Double Tempest. And quite enjoying it, although I will say, like me, it probably doesn't get better with age. I think it's maybe past I think it might be past its peak at this point. Also, the bottle fits well in a vagina. So do I. So
Jesus Christ. You know what? I really did not expect any less from Greg on that one. You know, it's just
I expected
bottle fits in a
exactly what,
vagina.
I expected exactly this.
anyway.
I expected worse.
All right. So my beer.
my wife
Why-
is filing her divorce online right now.
Yeah. All right. First time I ever had my history with this is I had this for the first time, I think, late fall 2013. It was like after certain events I won't go into, but I mean, right. I've had this for a very long time. I bought a couple of bottles, and I had bought this bottle because I had one back then, and then I saved another because I was planning to review it when my review channel started up again after 2013. I never got around to drinking it, but I didn't want to throw it out because it was Imperial Stout. I'm like, yeah, that'll age. It's got a wax cap on it. It should stay for a while. So it's been just sitting there. Over the course of the last several years, I've been tempted to drink this. And in fact, Greg has kept suggesting, you should totally drink that. You should totally drink that. And I got to add one thing about this is, of course, this being Tempest, this is the base beer kind of for Amsterdam's Double Tempest, which Greg has both sent me a bottle of, and also I've drank it a couple of times at bottle shares up in Ontario with him. And the first time I ever had Double Tempest, it was like one of the best beers I'd ever had in my life. I still remember that moment as being one of the peak moments of beerdom that I've been a part of. That was just a fantastic year in 2014. Anyway, I had this sitting there. It really reminds me of Greg every time I see this. So this is like the perfect beer for me to take out and finally crack open. 7-year-old bottle of Amsterdam Double Tempest. I'll get into how it tastes later. But I just wanted to point this out as I cracked it open. Check out the old Amsterdam cap.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's an ancient Amsterdam cap.
That's
That's before they must have like introduced that logo right that year or something. All right, so I'm going to give it over to Ashley, Ash Lexicron, and to read the comments, which are mostly from Redbeard. Hey, we got a new buddy in there.
Yeah, we got Redbeard was surprised by how on time we were. So that's great. And Matt No is in the chat. He's like, hey, buddy, new here. I'm tracking it too.
Cheers.
Panel open. I'll come on. It's not an open panel, but hang around and chat a little bit. And yeah. Redbeard says, happy birthday, Greg. One with the wonderfully
Mr. Beard.
fingerable mouth.
Yeah.
My mouth is very.
He did get his finger in at one point there.
Right in there.
Right in
All the way in there.
deep throat.
Hey, you know what? I just didn't have my toothbrush with me, and Redbeard helped me out.
Oh, Jesus.
My teeth were so white.
You were saying you were so cute. You wanted to stick a finger in it. You got a finger.
And by the way, Greg, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I didn't say it. I was being
It is my birthday tomorrow, to clarify, but thank you for your advanced birthday wishes.
Yeah, we got
Well, it's your birthday here. It's your birthday here. So
Oh, there we go. Because Craig's from the future.
Yeah, and I just want to say we got 8 viewers right now. Whoever's watching, thank you for watching. First of all, awesome, and drop something in the chat saying, "What are you guys drinking? You drinking anything that reminds you of this asshole down below me?" Yeah. This guy.
Images in the chat. I don't think you can. Can you?
No, you
I was
can't.
gonna say post dick pics.
No, please don't. Anyway, so let's. Yeah, what's your favorite memory with Greg? I guess it's.
Oh dear God! There's so many.
Okay, go ahead, Radar. You're first. Favorite memory with Greg.
Favorite memory with Greg.
Well, first memory would have been about a year before 2016. Yeah, 2015ish, when Guy was starting to do the hangouts with you guys, and then I showed up one night on his casting couch, and while you guys are doing that, and Greg was one of them, like, what the fucking call your radar and whatever. But best one would be at the Beer Fest 2016 when I was filming with the camera there. Remember, I was there, and then I see Greg, and all I hear in the background, it's fucking radar. And that's how I met Greg. And I hear in the background, he saw me first. It's like, it's fucking radar.
I'm pretty sure that video is.
No, I
think
didn't
that
put that on
is
video.
still
I
on
wasn't.
Jared's channel.
I wasn't. It's on his channel, but I didn't film that part. Me and Jeff were going around trying to look for something to film, and then all of a sudden, the background is it's fucking radar, and then I filmed you, and that part is on the video. And
I think I may have accused you of being a sexual predator.
many times.
Yeah,
I think that was the first time. That stopped about a year and a half ago. Yeah, that's like the one time where the first time I met you, and it was that way. It's fucking radar. He said it loud enough, and it was in that room, the room where all there's like packed with 200 people. It's fucking radar.
I actually remember that.
Well, yeah, and you were kind of not intoxicated, but intoxicated, I'd say.
I was pretty intoxicated.
Yeah, that's like the one memory that stands out the most, and
it's fucking radar.
Pretty much every week is a memory with you. So. And
I
yeah,
keep things interesting.
Yeah, and what am I gonna keep anything from meeting him? No, but I'm glad to be a part of knowing Greg. And knowing that he's a part of Beernomicron, it's for him. I'm pretty sure it's an honor. It's an honor for me to have him in the Beernomicron.
Greg Nomicron.
No, he's a Gilgis Bilashkushus. Born approximately 2,400 years ago. He started the Roman Empire, and along with orgies.
Okay.
Me and Caligula were good friends.
All right, so
yeah,
let's go over to Ash for a second here. Ashley, you got to follow that up.
Yeah, for once, Ashley's having trouble following up.
Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah.
And, what's your favorite memory with Greg?
Any memory where he passes out on screen. And I only say that because we can still enjoy his company, but we don't have to fucking listen to him. He's just there, but he's not talking over or being racist or sexist or racist or racist.
Yeah.
And we can get a word in edgewise, and he just sits there, sleeps like a little baby. And I haven't been on when it's happened probably for a while. So, maybe tonight's tonight. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll try to make it happen.
Hopefully, we're just drinking big beers tonight, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Cool story. All right, let's go over to Craig. What's your favorite memory with the lesser Greg?
Well, yeah, it's difficult because obviously I've never met him in person, so it probably would have been that. But there's every week there's something happens or is said probably, definitely, and yeah, it's difficult. I mean, some of the videos with Red Beard were quite amusing when they were just paralletic together. That's
It's like you're
pretty good. Him when he falls asleep snoring in the background, sort of thing. You have to mute him and that sort of thing. Pretty good. There's always something every week or whenever you do these things. So although I'm in the UK, I never met any of you guys, which is a shame. But I first sort of saw some of these kind of like hangout things. I think it was the tail end of Albino's kind of thing, and then it went on to, I think it was on to Lee's, and then across to yours, Nick. So it's kind of since then I thought, who are these Herberts? Sadly, one of them, original crew, is no longer with us, Joe. So, but yeah. Yeah, it's just the whole kind of thing after 3 years, really. there's many highlights. But, yeah, that's it. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
All right, Chris, what's your favorite memory with Greg? It's like the
Albino
roast
Rhino
of Greg.
Beer Festival, when Greg decided to yell across to the chick saying that I had a huge cock, and
14
I got
inches
him back
specifically.
later. And then I got him back later by flicking his dick. That was my favorite memory of Greg.
Which one was this?
This was
He's only got one dick.
this was the first one I think Chris was at.
No, it was probably
Maybe second one, I don't know.
Second one, yeah, I think it was the second one because the first one I didn't really know. Well, I knew you guys, but it was more of just taking pictures and shit. But it was the one after that.
You really didn't associate with us at best, I think. I think you hung out with me
I
and
fucking
Raider
like
out
you
there.
guys. What the fuck? I didn't like you guys.
Fuck you too.
Just kidding.
Love you.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite memories of Greg. And on a more serious note, any other time that Greg comes down and hangs out with me when we go over to Counterpart, if we're hanging out outside of
Oh yeah.
the YouTube world, and it's always a good time for sure. So
Nice.
I'm just
and
happy
especially
we can
that
get
one time that one time we went to the sex club together. It was really weird.
Oh.
'Cause we went in holding hands, and then Egg was just like,
And then left with a gape too large to talk about.
and I was like, "Hey, look, I got free water." It was awesome.
All right, because we're talking about memories of Greg, I'm going to skip Greg and then talk about me. It's all about me, right? All right, one of my favorite memories about Greg, and I'm actually going to share a video because it's funny. It was the recording of this video.
Hey there, Bear Teamers. Here we're here with a very, very drunk Greg.
I haven't had anything to drink.
Yeah, you got 2 beers in your hand, man. We're gonna take a look at collective
beers.
Jesus. We got something salty here. We got Collective Arts Goza.
Go.
We're gonna take a look at this, and I think he just fit on my lens.
Some sort. Yeah, close enough your life, you pervert.
Anyway, that should give you an idea of how Greg was way back then. He still is today. Had a lot more energy back then. It was very much downhill. That was the review where you were calling us, it tastes like salty piss.
That was about an hour after saying, it's fucking radar.
Yeah, I think it was the same one.
It was the same one.
It was just funny because I pulled Greg aside trying to review with him. He's got 2 beers on the go. I was like, this is not 2 beers. Anyway, that was funny. I also wanted to recount another one because he's not simply just an asshole. But there was the time that I think it was after the 2018 Beer Fest. I traveled up with him. I'm not talking about what he was saying the entire drive up back to Toronto, but the time that I stayed with him and Agnes over at and they treated me to sausage McMuffins the next morning. I got to sleep in a room with a shoe collection and statue of 2 pigs fucking. And then the next day I got to borrow his wife for the afternoon. So it was actually a pretty awesome trip. He's such a nice guy. But those are my fondest memories with Greg. So I want to get over to Ashley so he can read the comments. We actually got a couple of viewers talking about their favorite memories. And
okay. Sorry.
Oh,
Um,
Guys, you can invite one of them here. I got to go. I'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
See ya. I'm
See
going
you
to
later.
ball. See you guys later anyways. So see ya.
All right, we got Redbeard. When Greg tried to save me after I spilled beer on that scary-looking Instagram thing at the festival, but just made it worse, was a pretty good time. That was.
Yeah.
Jimmy Jazz is in the chat drinking 2 tickets to Paradise Double IPA from Barncat, a.k.a. what Greg and his wife call their sex club memberships.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty
geez. We got Teku Murray. Hi, I'm a viewer, and that's about it. Raining on Your Parade was very displeased with the 2020 Waldos, but after I got over it, is nothing like previous batch. It is still pretty good, very sweet, almost overboard on the sweetness. Raining on Your Parade. Plus, Greg reminds me of a Waldo. Teku Murray, fade memory, doesn't matter. He won't remember it. There we go. So true. He probably
He's not wrong.
Right. Yeah. And then there was 5.
I just wanted to point out before we move on to the next segment, my wife was listening to this all in the background. She pointed out that this really sounds like a really good eulogy.
Yeah, it's sort of speaking like you're dead.
nice
It's
to
either
hear
a
that,
eulogy or a roast. The roast
Yeah.
of Greg Bylowski is what this is.
That's what it feels like, a roast.
It's a roast.
He's not dead yet. His liver's got like 3 years in it still.
Yeah, but the fucker regenerates.
He'll just
into
drop
half
dead when
year.
he's 40.
Oh, 40, that's a good time.
All right, so we ready to talk about the beers that we brought? Since Radar is gone, moving right to Ashley.
I don't have to follow that up. It's awesome.
Yeah, you don't have to follow that up.
So, I mean, Beer de Zeus, GLB. I know Greg's had this. I know, Chris, you've had it. And unfortunately, Craig, obviously you have not, and neither has Nick. But those
I had 1 year. I had 1 year of it.
But, I mean, this year's batch is absolutely fantastic. It's just like, I think I described it last time I had it. It was just like liquefied Werthers. And it is just so smooth, so rich, so decadent. It hides the near 12% alcohol so well. It's got so many nice malty layers to it. Got a touch of bitterness. It's just such a nicely balanced barley wine. I don't really know what else much to say about it. It's just it's a stellar beer. It's a 4.75 for style and personal enjoyment. I love this beer. It's great.
Nice. Sweet. All right, let's go over to Craig. What do you think of the beer that you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to compare with other vintages, of course, but I've had another 2 vintages, but it's because obviously I've had a lot fresher batches. I mean, this was bottled, I think it was last March, I believe, as their final one. But what you are getting a kind of it's quite a big bodied beer rather than an alcoholic beer. I mean, it's a 11% pastry stout for a start. There is a very, it's got a decadency about it. There is that hint of a biscuity tone, sort of a peanut butter type slickness to it, even though it's got none of that ingredients in it. Nice roasty toasty beer. I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's a year. What was it, 13 months now? Probably, and I was told this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you've got any, drink them because they're starting to fall off already. It's got a best before date. I think it's March 2021. But even though a beer like this, you want them kind of flavors to hang on. And I think my experience with other batches of this, it does fall off quite quickly. So yeah, the fresher the better. But obviously it's the last batch, so that's it. As terms of kind of like a pastry stout, I guess it's fairly it's not as sweet as some can be, which is I think a good thing. Because I think the sweetness is, a lot of people get put off by that over excessive sweetness. This is a 330ml bottle, so I mean it's enough. I wouldn't want any more, I'd say, than that. It's just about right for where the sweetness is, for this. But yeah, I mean, it's I've got another bottle on. I will do a review at some point, probably in the next month. But this is it's a nice beer. It's got an amazing score on Untapped. It's just under 9,000 total check-ins, coming in at 4.39. So that's huge, really, for that sort of scale. But yeah, for me, then a rating. This bottle, at least, I'm going to give this beer. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Still very good, but yeah, and that'd be for both preference. Maybe a bit lower for preference. I don't know what I've said now, but yeah, it's an 8.5, 8.5, that sort of ballpark. So tasty beer though, all the same. Cheers, Greg. Happy birthday.
And Chris,
Hi
what's your
again.
final thoughts?
Octopus Wants to Fight. Way better than it was way back in the day with my baby palate. This year's batch, or whatever you want to call it, is actually really nice. For the style, I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10 for a solid for a style. It's good. It's not the best IPA that I've had from Great Lakes, but it's still pretty good. Personal preference, I'll give it an 8 as well. I'd go buy this frequently. You know, nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's tasty. There you go.
All right, and just a pointer, just like your palate, Greg has made you a changed man.
And
This one's
kind of.
Doesn't necessarily get better with age.
All right. So let's go over to, Birthday Boy.
Hi.
Why? Hi. How you doing tonight, Greg? Anyway, what the beer you brought? What do you think?
Okay, well, we all know that my entire 2018 batch, well, not entire, but most of my entire 2018 batch of Bring Out Your Dead, ended up getting drain poured, and by drain poured, I mean poured down my gullet. But I was very upset about it regardless because it all turned, and I was very sad. I lost at least 6 bottles. Very, very upset. And I don't have the CC Fortune backing me up, so it's a lot of money. So this one, thankfully, after, we're coming up on around 3 years now, because I think it was end of the year 2017, so 2.5 years. This one has not turned. I will say, though, that it is starting to become really woody. Like, I'm getting a lot of wood tannins in here that even the bottle I popped open 6 months ago did not have. So
I'm not surprised you're getting wood.
No one is. No one is. And I'm surprised. I'll probably pass out and get a little more, whether I want it or not. By the way, you give a great high five at the club, Chris. Like, real strong hands. So I will say most of these, not GLB, Bell doesn't specifically say, but a lot of these barrel-aged stouts, they say they're good to age for about 3 years. And I think the 2 to 3 year mark is when these really start to go downhill. And I'm feeling this one is on its way downhill. I've only got 1 bottle left, so it doesn't matter at this point. Save it for a year, drink it right away. It's going to taste okay. It's still an excellent beer, but it is losing a lot of its nice qualities that it did have when it was a little fresher. So, I don't know. Oh, am I supposed to rate this beer?
Yeah. I mean, it's your birthday. It's not like you have to, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't really like rating something that I've purposely aged and possibly ruined myself. If I rate it as a barrel-aged stout, I would say it's probably about an 8 right now. It's sort of there's definitely better. It's a little too woody for what it is at this point. It really kind of dominates the flavors. That being said, I'm still really enjoying it, so I'm still going to give it a 9 for personal enjoyment. And for those of you that don't follow my many, many video reviews, I've given this one a 10, either on Redbeard's channel or on my own Untapped many times. It's not quite there for me anymore, but it's still a really, really good beer. Just, I know what it could have been. It's like my wife knows what I could have been 10 years ago, and now she has to live with the aged version of me now, which is always a disappointing.
Barrel-aged, Greg.
She gets a lot of free water out of it. Yeah, we already made that joke, honey. Thanks. My wife made the joke that I don't age well.
Well, she's not wrong.
She's not, but she's already like 10 minutes too late to say that.
I thought she was joking about their sex club water.
It's true. She is the most qualified to judge.
She's also not wrong, yeah. Alrighty. I suppose it's my turn now to talk about the beer that I've got. I got to say, one of the biggest thing, first of all, didn't spoil. Very happy about that. Greg was right. The whole other thing about this is just how insanely smooth this fucker is after 7 years. It is going down. Like, it still hits you with a big chocolate syrup, subtly earthy, and still loads of coffee in this. Still kicks like a mule, but it goes down like water. It's not like it's thin-bodied. it's just so velvety, creamy, smooth that it just slides like, I guess, lube. Like we're thinking about Greg here, so it's just
Yeah, why not?
Steaming?
like
Slide
I
down
gotta
your
say,
throat,
like,
Nick.
yeah, with like hints of licorice and a little bit of just subtly fruity, like like just like that roast coffee is still there, although it's quite mellowed out. I'm amazed that it's 7 years. Like I think that it's probably a little bit past its prime at this point, but I'm amazed at how well this thing held up. Like if you bought a bottle of this for some reason, like me, you forgot this thing for 7 years, you're not going to be disappointed when you open the bottle of this, because this thing is still quite drinkable and still a high scoring beer for me. This is very good. And I mean, Tempest always was, but this is just crazy that it lasted this long in this shape. I'm gonna give this, like, for an Imperial Stout, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm gonna give that a 9, and 9 for overall enjoyment, just because I'm really loving this. Like,
I got a
I think.
question for you, Nick.
Oh, what?
How did you forget about that beer? Did you have it in some kind of room with a combination lock, and you forgot the lock combination, or?
I bought a bottle of it when I wasn't when I was kind of on the outs, because it was 2013 was the year.
Yeah.
And then I took a hiatus for a while, and then it kind of got buried under all the other beers that I was buying at the time, because I had a thing about buying 2 beers of each thing I knew came in. And then the Imperial Stout, I'm just like, oh, well, that'll keep the longest. So it just sort of sat there for a long time until, well, tonight, when I'm like, well,
there you go.
It came along this far. I'm like, I'm not going to open that because it's an Imperial Stout. It's probably fine. And then over the years, Greg has been tempting me to open this. And finally, that's happened.
Yeah.
2013 bottle of the Amsterdam Tempest Double. And you know what? It's not bad. It doesn't taste like it's old. It just doesn't taste.
Oh shit, Chris.
Maybe there's a hint of stale to it, like hints of oxidization, but it's still fantastic. And I can't believe that I'm talking about like a Canadian craft beer from 2013 this way. That held up gorgeously.
Nice.
So there you go. And then just like Greg, it held up. No,
I'm gorgeous.
I can't say that. No.
Now I'll just give you a little bit of I guess fun trivia about that vintage in particular. That one, and I'm suspecting you and I are probably the ones that have had that beer because it's not that common. So that vintage came out, and that was actually a notoriously hoppy vintage for an Imperial Stout. In fact, Chad, I think in one of his things actually compared it to a black IPA. I wouldn't go that far, even when it was fresh, but it was definitely hoppier than your general Imperial Stout. And I do believe, like, even the bottle I had 2-3 years ago was very smoothed out at that point. But that was actually, that was probably as close to being a black IPA as Tempest has ever come. And I'm assuming all those hops are way gone.
That's pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, it really goes without saying that the hops are gone.
But I actually really like that vintage. Like now they kind of just they don't really do vintages. They kind of just can it whenever they do. But of when they were sort of doing vintages, which is sort of 12, 13, 14, 15, I think. Of those 4, the 13 was actually my favorite. Even when it was fresh, I liked the extra little bit of bitterness it had.
You know what's funny? I'm just looking at this right now. I'm looking at it on my Untapped, and this is what I'm seeing. I found my check-in from February of 2014. I'm like, booziness, harsh, sweet, goes away when it breathes a bit. Very good. Age will smooth this right out. Yum. Yeah. And then, of course, the next one, 2013 aged bottle. I gave it 4.25. And that was in 2015 I drank that. So it was a 2-year-old bottle at the time. And I had it one more time, too. Like, I had it in a 16 and gave it a 4. Was that the same year?
So you've had 4 of them altogether.
Yeah, look at that. Look, it was a 2013 bottle as well. Yeah, so yeah, I guess I've had this beer 3 times that I've checked in.
If anyone has that thing where they don't like holes, your photo would fuck them up.
Oh, like that thing where you see like somebody holding up the back of their hand and they get somebody's.
There's a name for it. I can't remember right now.
I forget what it is, but there's like a phobia over the holes, and I've seen pictures of people like, don't let this happen in your hand, but it's actually like a flower or something. that's been digitally added to your hand. Anyway, whatever. We're way off topic here. So I'm going to pass it over to Ashley, who has to follow all this up.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the rest of the comments.
All right. We left off with Tekumori saying his favorite memory doesn't matter, he won't remember, and then he said the Beard of Zeus gives way to Rev a straight jacket, which gives way to Kunin bourbon barrel barley wine, which
you had that last year at your place.
Yeah, that was a fantastic beer.
Yeah.
Redbeard thinks Greg loves wood in his mouth and fingers. Rating on your parade says it sucks so bad. Dumping out beer. That was aging so well. I need a temp-controlled fridge. So I'm not too sure if he was referring to the Waldos, the 2020 Waldos, that it sucks so bad and dumped it out. I'm not too sure. Or was he responding to a story? Oh, he was responding to the Bring Out Your Dad. That's right. That was very sad that you did lose a few of those bottles.
Yeah, it does.
But big on you to replace the crappy one that you sold me. So.
Yeah, it just shows that Greg is actually a good guy and he's that rough pervert exterior.
Yeah. And then Rainy on your parade says, cheers, Greg.
Cheers, Greg.
Cheers.
Cheers, Greg.
Cheers, Greg.
Yeah, the only time you'll get a round of applause from us.
Let's be honest. Ashley Sexton is the one that set up a guillotine for my penis.
It is. And cheers for Ashley for setting up a guillotine or his cock chopper.
Admittedly, it was a pretty good deterrent.
Your wife was safe after that latter.
Yes.
All right, so we haven't had the magic question asked. We are planning to do a real beer next week, but if anybody wants to know, I don't have. All right, I suppose we could go while we're waiting for somebody to ask that question and say, of all the beers, Ashley, which one would you rather have?
Please, oof. Please.
Probably yours. Yeah, I'll go with that 2013 Tempest. Mind you, Craig's was interesting because I've seen that beer all over social media and I've never had a chance to try it. So. Okay. One or the other.
Nice. All right, so move over to Craig. Of all the beers that we've had tonight, which one would you rather have?
It's probably Greg's, I'd say. It sounds pretty lush. And it's pretty rare, and yeah. I want to try one of those at some point, but I don't think they've ever got over here anyway, so, but yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Greg keeps drinking them, and he drinks a lot of big stouts, so he knows.
Yeah, like Bellwoods is generally pretty, at least it used to be pretty exclusive.
We can get some, but not their beers, but
yeah, I think any of the beers they're available elsewhere. Like I know Dan can get a couple in Calgary, but they're just like gray market.
Yeah, we get some. Is it the Barn Ale or something like that? We can get one or two of them sort of things, and they're round about 20 quid a bottle, something like that.
Wow, Jesus,
So,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, steep.
All right. So let's go over to Chris. What's of all the beers we've had tonight? Which one? Yeah.
Well, just to follow up what Craig was saying, whenever we actually decide to do another piss up somewhere or hangout or whatever, and you come down into Canada, then we'll get you all those beers. Don't worry. And I would probably want Greg's. Bring Out Your Dead is fantastic. I was gonna say Ashley's, but I could just go down to my fridge and drink one. So I'd rather have what Greg's drinking.
Nice. All right. So
If they have a 2020 veg, I'll be sending it out as soon as COVID thing is done by then.
I hope they do.
Well, it's funny because I might have said Chris's beer, except I'm having one of those now because that Bring Out Your Dead went down way too quickly.
He's like, I want Chris's beer, so I'm going to have one. So fuck you guys.
Yeah. So those of you who want me to pass out tonight, it might happen. I also same thing with Ashley's. I can go to my fridge and get his. So I mean, it comes down to. I mean, Craig certainly looks interesting. I very much like the bottle. I think it's a very interesting looking bottle. Let's say it that way. that being said, I would really like to have Nick's beer because I had many bottles of that and they're all gone at this point. And I would love to have another one. So, because those ones actually did get better to age up to a certain point, and I never reached the point where they got worse with age. So, I would love to actually try one that's 7 years old. So that would be my thing. But I definitely would like the bottle with a ghost costume because that looks really cool. And frankly, I'd like to try radars just to see what. Oh my God, my dog just bit my nipple. You asshole! Get lost.
Says happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to you too, asshole. Yeah, I'd also like to try radar just because I want to see how bad that beer his sister gave him was. Like, I'd actually want to try the actual bottle radar had because I'm curious to see what it tastes like. But yeah, that's my thing. By the way, I'm just gonna go on a slight tangent here. I'm not gonna give any memories of anything because I don't remember meeting any of you for the first time because I was too drunk. But if any of you, and I can't link the video because I don't know where it is, but if you look at an old BDU video, Jamie has the link. I don't know how Jamie has all this stuff, but Jamie has the link. Maybe you can post it somewhere. You can actually see my very first appearance on any Beer Analysis 101 where you got, not Beer Analysis, BDU.
Beer Dweebs, yeah.
Beer Dweebs United, yeah, back when it was called that. Very first time I showed up on anything, you guys met me for any reason whatsoever other than maybe a commenter. And I didn't talk the entire time because I was too shy. I did not talk. I wasn't one of you cool guys. I couldn't talk. It was basically me just saying hi to you guys and then shutting up for the entire show. And now Nick probably wishes that was me.
Yeah, sometimes I do, yeah. Love you, Greg. All right, so let's go over to me for a second here, and I'll talk about my favorite beer of the night, the one I would like to try if I was to try it, and I gotta go with Greg seems interesting, but I've had Bring Out Your Dead before. This amazing bottle that everybody's talking about of Beer to Zeus that Ashley brought, that's the one I'd go with.
Well, guess what, Nick? I've got one for you. Just gotta wait for COVID to be done.
You gotta go with COVID to be done. Otherwise, this guy is giving me birthday presents for some reason. So, before we get into the magic comment that I see there from Rating 98, I'm going to go back to Greg for a second because the current score of favorite beers tonight is 2 for Bring Out Your Dead, yours, and 2 for my bottle of Amsterdam 2013, and 1 for Beer to Zeus. Now, you got to pick the winner. You're the tiebreaker.
Okay, Beer to Zeus.
Damn it. Just to fuck with everybody. I should have thought that through probably.
Yeah, why did you give me the third option? Of course I'm going to pick that to fuck it up.
Of course.
Right. All right. Yes, Beer to Zeus wins tonight. Congratulations, Ashley. You're the winner. All right. We all know that the real winner is Greg. So,
the winner.
Yeah. I'm going to go over to Ashley. Read that question.
What's the beer for next week, says Rating in your parade.
What's the beer for next week, you say? We are going to do... Yeah, we'll just say we're going to do a Pilsner Urquell. This is a long-awaited beer on this channel. One of the most classic.
I thought we did it already.
Yep. One of the classic of classic beers for the Pilsner style. Everybody knows what it is pretty much if you know beer. So we're going to finally take a look at this. It's amazing that such a big name has evaded us for so long, but because it's one of those beers that we can all get during a quarantine, just by going up to any liquor store nearby, we're going to do shitty beers for the next little while.
Yeah.
Which is not a surprise, I guess, because we did shitty beers before.
I will be joining you. I will be joining you next week. I just have to go get it.
Oh. Adventure outside the house?
Yep.
Nice.
I'm off next week, so we're good.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
I don't know. Considering the lady you just had on your lap, I'm surprised you want to go anywhere.
Jesus.
Oh no, she's already gone. She already finished.
Wow,
that was quick. That was quick. You're the man. And also, Chris, we also got to talk.
I was using this hand.
Oh, God. And Chris, we also got to talk about sometime. We need you on the channel for that as well. So.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
Oh, that's going to be an all Polish review.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's why I want you on. All right, so I think we've talked about next week's beer. We had a really great time celebrating the life of Greg.
We did.
Weird episode, Dan.
He's still with us.
He's still with us, damn it. Holy shit, we had 10 viewers. This is like the most amount of viewers we've had
now when I do die, you don't have to re-record this. You just upload this again, change the date. You're good.
There we go.
You changed the date, and this is your eulogy.
Maybe
Greg,
we'll just
remember that time he called the Goes a salty piss?
Yeah, yes, I did. I still consider
It's
think that
fucking radar.
it's a salty piss style.
This guy's got a huge cock.
Oh god.
I didn't say huge. I specifically said
Have you
14
make?
inch.
So did you know he had a 14?
Yeah,
inch
14.
penis?
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't remember the number. That's why I went huge, because I knew you said a number. Hey, this guy's got a 14-inch dick. Oh fuck. Here we go.
Yeah, and I
It's
also
still not
remember
good.
trying to.
Let's take 10 inches off of that.
I also tried to save Redbeard from that. We'll call her a woman that he spilled beer on, and you can hear Joe in the background saying, "Greg's gonna make this worse," and I totally did.
Yep. That's hilarious. That was a good
All right.
festival.
So, and we all just like that. We lost 2 viewers. So I want to say thank you very much for all the people that tuned in tonight to watch us roast Greg. Thank you very much to everybody who showed up tonight. There, we didn't even radar. We got Ashley, we got Craig, we got Chris, Greg. We all know Greg would show up for his own roast.
I'd hope so.
And also to everybody who was in the chat, like Teku Murray, rating on your parade. Gotta love those two together. Redbeard, and what was his other name? Jimmy Jazz is in there. Matt No. Anyway, cheers to everybody. It goes without saying.
Cheers.
We'll be back next week with another beer, and of course we'll be online in a little bit for the after chat. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about probably 15-20 minutes.
Greg, say it.
Cheers.
Greg, it's your turn to say it.
Penis.
There you go.